Welcome back, YouTubers, to the 2-year anniversary Q&A number 104 of the British Fist Q&A series.
It's a lot of fun. Ka-ching!
Ka-ching indeed. And as part of our new way of going about videos, we're going to go straight onto this Q&A and save all the pleasantries till the end. Scott Wilde sent us a whole load of questions, pretty much suits this hour-long Q&A that we've got going. The first of which is, your thoughts on Survivor Series 97 Screwjob? Brett never tapped out, so the ending was stupid and the crowd that pays good money to watch deserve better. Well, as much as you may think it's stupid, it was an iconic moment in WWE, and you can understand why Vince did what he did, because Brett didn't want to drop the belt, and he didn't want his belt going to Bischoff. He wasn't worried about Bret Hart and what he would do with the belt. He was worried with what Bischoff, who was his ultimate competitor at the time, would do with the belt if Brett ended up taking it over to WCW. So I can understand exactly why Vince did exactly what he did as a businessman.
After reading Shawn Michaels' Heartbreaking Triumph book, he goes into quite a bit of detail about this, how the referees were in it, how he felt about this, building up to this moment, and the afterwards effect. I think with this, it was something that put Vince in the power seat. You know, he had all this creative idea on how he's going to do this, do the whole screw job thing, and it became one of the biggest things in wrestling history. So I think for that, it may have been stupid of how they did it, but it was something different, something big, and so that protected Vince's title.
It created, and the company as well. It also created the Mr. McMahon character, which then was a linchpin of the Attitude Era. And you say that, you know, the crowd deserved better. Well, there was at one point where Brett, if he didn't get what he wanted, wasn't going to wrestle, so they wouldn't have got a match. So there you go. When will Rhodes or Sandows get the push they deserve to main event slots? We don't really know. They're in a tag team ranks now. Maybe 2014, not anytime sooner though. Imagine if WWE gave a Money in the Bank to one of these two now.
Well, look at these, and they tease like Sandows. He's been against main eventers, so yes, he's losing matches, but at least he's in a place where I face this guy, look good against this guy. So Sandows at any point could somehow get this dramatic turn where he starts winning matches and goes somewhere. Cody had that, but they dropped the ball with him. So they've got to do a bit more work on Cody, but Sandows, he could be changed at any minute.
Yeah, I think Sandows' character is what allows WWE to go there. I mean, he might have been losing a lot lately, but they could still use this character and book him quite well to win maybe a Money in the Bank. And he's the perfect character that, as he can, talk. Rhodes, as you said at one point, looked like he was being built up and up and up slowly into the main event slot, and then he just vanished, and it was a shame really, because they built him up quite well, only to just drop him off at the knees. What is your favourite WWF Kane match before 2002? It's got to be Undertaker versus Kane at WrestleMania 14. That's mine.
The year 2002, I'm not good at remembering moments, but the Shane feud, I'm not sure.
That would have been 2001. I can't remember.
Then the Shane feud, the ambulance match, the last man standing.
2003?
That was definitely. If it was 2003, I apologise. If you want me any other, no, it'd be Shane. So I hope you got the year right.
Why do you think WWE hasn't been able to make a new big draw wrestler since Austin, Rock, etc.? Cena doesn't count because he's 50-50 with the fans. Well, Cena does count because he always gets a reaction, and he is the big draw in the company, and he does represent the PG era and the company motto the best. The reason why they haven't been able to make another big draw wrestler is simply because of the way that wrestling's gone down. I mean, there hasn't been, you could argue there hasn't been the talent. You could argue that WWE just hasn't been able to make a new star, just hasn't been able to pluck out this new talent from the developmental territory, or they haven't had another company, apart from TNA, maybe ROH, to kind of pluck stars from, but they don't have massive stars that could be like Austin or Rock.
I personally think they had chances with quite a few names. I can name about 2 possibly wrestlers that could have became big stars, and they were going up that direction. But yes, because of Cena's booking, he's all the way up here. And also, you start to book someone really well, and for some reason, majority of the characters, there's always a big smack down. They go back down and they fail. So they've had the chance, it's just the WWE have not finished pushing them to the limit.
I also think it's something to do, and I think Vince Russo alluded to this in one of his shoot interviews he did on YouTube, that Austin, Rock, Foley, Taker, they were all stars that came at one time, and they were all massive stars. And maybe if we had an Austin in the Attitude Era and a Rock in this era, it wouldn't be so bad, but they all came along at once during this Attitude Era. So that's probably why we haven't had, and also the developmental territories and the other companies just haven't been able to, make those talents like they did before. And wrestling isn't as on people's minds as it was during the Attitude Era.
The only strong thing I can say about this is it might be a sidetrack or not as good at the moment, But Heyman has been good at picking out guys who could go to a Jim Ross in the past, yes, but like with this Axel guy, he may not make it that far. I don't think no one's gonna pass Cena. That's the damaging thing right now.
Exactly. And why do WWE find it hard to write for mid-card titles? Because where their money lies is in the main events and the upper mid-card feuds. Mid-card feuds are good feuds as they act like glue, like the Cruiserweight division did for WCW. But mid-card feuds don't exactly sell pay-per-views, do they? Or make ratings. That's why they don't focus that much on them.
I think it is a shame that the WWE have belts that used to mean a lot. Great names held these championships. But the amount of wrestlers that's in the mid-card, they're not very concentrating on building up talent to go for that belt, concentrating on much. Like the Alex Rileys and all that could be here fighting for this, making the mid-card look good. But the WWE knows where their money's at, sadly, which is just the main event.
Do you think Sin Cara didn't work for fans because he never really cut a promo or spoke to the fans, or do you think it was someone else or his fault? It was mainly injuries and the fact they couldn't really give him a prolonged push because of the injury at Survivor Series. And now it's got to a point where the character just hasn't been on TV that much. He's not as over as he used to be. He kind of botches a little bit in the ring. It's kind of a mixed bag with Sin Cara. He came in with all this hype and really he's just he never really seemed to master the American style of wrestling and all that kind of stuff.
Really. I think Sin Cara could have gone on a good path. As soon as that first botch happened, fans just flipped out. They just went really crazy. I think the first botch people just took quite heavy because there was always hype on Sin Cara, this whole Rey Mysterio idea, and that one botch changed it all. And the WWE or the fans' reaction towards him have never been the same.
No, and that's been made very convenient actually by the fact they turned Dario Babyface. I mean, do you think they would have turned Dario Babyface if Sin Cara had been a success? I don't think they would have done. So it's partly Sin Cara's. It's not really Sin Cara's fault because he got injured, but it is for the botches. And I don't know. From that point onwards, just never really seemed to go anywhere in the WWE. Do you think WWE and Cena buried the Nexus too much so none of them could break into the main event? Well, it started off all right. I mean, if there was one person that was going to break into the main events, it was going to be Wade Barrett. That hasn't happened since. I think it's more WWE's fault. I don't really think it's Cena's fault because he went up against Cena and that got Wade Barrett and the Nexus noticed, but the WWE like with the Shield, they're having them win matches consistently. Whereas with the Nexus, they won that match. They lost that match at SummerSlam, lost at Survivor Series, lost at various other pay-per-views, etc., and it halted their momentum.
I'm going to quite blame it on both WWE and Cena. The reason I'm blaming it on WWE is because they're the one who does the booking, the writing. So they book Cena to be who he is. I blame Cena because Cena's been in match after match after pay-per-view against Wade Barrett. And the only way Wade Barrett got the win was due interference and stuff. So I think WWE and Cena both held Wade Barrett back, especially from getting that pushed further.
When do you think Drew McIntyre will be used for better things than 3MB? He has the best look as for a new heel in 2013. He won't be used. I mean, he's not going to break it now, is he? Just no way.
I can't see it happening because with the 3MB, I cannot see Tensite or Bros Clay ever being taken as strongly and wants to come back as a monster. But as for Drew McIntyre, it's going to be hard for him to put out the 3MB, so they have to do something quite strong to take him seriously again.
Yeah, will fans ever take him seriously again? I don't really think they will. What direction will the tag titles go in or have for 2013? A good start for them was putting it on the Shield, I think, because the Shield can be featured in main events and stuff like that. So that was a good start for them, but they need to try and make some new tag teams that could be part of that tag team division and go after the tag belts, really. Sheamus and Orton could be a possibility.
I suppose I want to compliment the WWE for giving the tag team championships to the right tag team. The thing is, we need tag teams that are going to benefit from the win. Like Dan said, Sheamus and Orton, I don't think they'll benefit from it. It may put on a big match for a pay-per-view, but it's not going to really benefit, let's say, a newer tag team. The Shield, yes, but I think we need to make variety of new tags. Don't just dump two wrestlers together. Back in the days when I missed Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, they were proper tag teams. They just throwing stuff together because no one's coming into the WWE to be in a tag team. So that's a downfall for the 2013.
SCFC Sam 10. 4 questions here. How would you book Wade Barrett up to winning the World Heavyweight Championship? Well, I would have gone with that bare knuckle fighter gimmick and actually done it properly. You know, actually have him, have characteristics of a bare knuckle fighter. Actually have him win some jobber matches. Maybe win the IC belt. Maybe then win a match at Survivor Series, captaining his team. Then maybe win the Royal Rumble and win the World Championship at WrestleMania. I mean, is it really that hard to build a guy? We've just outlined sort of what we would do.
Well, I look at Wade Barrett, and I think he's got the arrogance to be a Mr. Money in the Bank, be a Rumble winner, and look good at that. I know the booking right now is not good, but if you put, yes, that John Cena thing, like we answered earlier, didn't give him that big win that he needed, so why not put him up against another name, like the Chris Jericho as a base, or other top base other than Cena, and have him beat him to start the step forward?
Indeed, and it's all about putting him up against main event talents, putting him into as many main events as possible, giving him wins at pay-per-views and stuff like that, really, if you're going to build him up to win the World Heavyweight Championship properly anyway. If they do it at Money in the Bank, you just know they'll do some cheap-ass shit way of winning it. So, do you ever see Sin Cara winning a singles title? Right now, no, but if they needed a babyface say, a US champion, possibly.
I'm going to say yes, because yes, at the moment, Sin Cara's not making many TV appearances. Unless he gets released, I think they'll probably go down a Santino route, and he'll probably become the US champion somewhere down the line, even if it's for the purpose of putting onto another heel later on.
Which is your favourite CM Punk attire? Straight Edge Society. I like that Straight Edge Society stuff that he did, especially when he had that mask on. Or that mask was pretty funny, wasn't it? And the short hair.
An attire, I'm just used him in those pants, and that stuff. The Macho Man stuff, the respect that he did, but they all seem to be connected somehow apart from the Straight Edge.
Who has the best TNA theme? Oh, as you know what, I love the Immortal theme. I don't know why I hated Immortal, but every time they opened the show, I used to be like, yeah.
The thing is, I'm struggling with TNA themes because they're not as out there as WWE.
Quite generic, aren't they? Some of them.
If I had to go with one, Anderson.
Mr. Anderson has a good theme tune. Yes, that's one good thing that came from WWE. Super Saiyan Jin 11. With the way things are going for the World Heavyweight Championship, do you think they will change the name of the belt to simply the World Championship because it's no longer big guys or the best holding the belt? No. You've got the WWE Championship, the World Championship. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad name for it, but let's go with history. Let's go with tradition. World Heavyweight Championship. It's not always going to be heavyweights, and we don't take the heavyweight term to be literal anymore, really, in WWE.
Changing the name, it's not really going to change anything about the belt itself. It will still be the World Heavyweight. So either way, do it or not. Yeah,
it doesn't really matter, really. But World Championship, I think, in the sense you've got WWE Championship and World Championship. World Championship sounds a lot bigger, but World Heavyweight Championship's fine. I don't really think you need to change it. RFV089. Do you think that John Cena is underrated as a talker?
A talker, apart from when he does jokes, those jokes he must have gotten out of a kid's book, hence the Fruit Pebbles and that stuff. But when he cuts something serious, I think if he's talking alongside someone back and forth, like him and Punk in the ring, there's some serious and back strong talk to it.
I think Cena is very underrated as a talker, and that's mainly because the YWC always seems to shit on John Cena for every promo he does. I must admit, whenever he's not being serious or whether he's trying to make jokes, I'm not a massive fan of his promos. But there's one guy in the company, John Cena, that like on a Memorial Day or when a big event happens, that you want to step up to that plate because you know that what he's going to say is going to resonate with a lot of fans in that position. I mean, you look at Raw, and even when he was probably getting booed, he still thought to himself, well, I can get some cheap heat here by mentioning Bret Hart and all that kind of stuff. So I think he is underrated as a talker. I think he's one of the best on the mic in the WWE. It's just a shame, I think, sometimes the scripts they give him. That's all I'll say about that. Who is a better in-ring talent, John Cena or Randy Orton? I think Orton is the better in-ring talent. I think that's... John Cena's not a bad in-ring talent. I just think Randy Orton has more to him. Really?
Yes, you mentioned that he's a bit stiff, but I think with Orton and the way he can perform, quick and snappy compared to Cena, I think Randy Orton has the extra moves and stuff.
Yeah, but John Cena has the mic skills. John Cena has more charisma. John Cena has more of a main event look than Randy. So Orton may have the in-ring skill, but John Cena has way more other things that Orton doesn't have.
Maybe this is the next question is, when it comes to Randy Orton, we've seen him play a face and a heel. The WWE can change it when they want. Cena, he's stuck in one aspect of the WWE as a face, which helps Orton.
Who is a better in-ring wrestler, the Great Khali or Garrett Bischoff? I have to say Garrett Bischoff. I know this guy is a bit of a rookie, but you can't get worse than Great Khali, I'm afraid.
Khali with the leg injuries and the slowness, and the fact that Garrett, he has chance to improve. He does, so I'm going to give it to Garrett.
Yeah, with Triple H gaining more power within the WWE, how do you assess what he has done so far with the likes of the tag team division? First thing I'll give Triple H credit on is the way he's done NXT. NXT, in my opinion, has turned into a must-watch TV program for myself, which is why I always do reviews of them on my channel. I like the way he's restructured it, so you've got, instead of it being FCW, you've now got these guys that are getting some TV time to themselves because that's what they deserve. I like the way how NXT have, got their own arena now and it's a lot bigger. With regard to the tag team division, he tried. I mean, Triple H tried with the tag team division. You can tell that Triple H's influence were kind of there with the DX and everything like that. It hasn't really worked in the long run, but at least for some time we got a decent tag team division.
The way I see Triple H's progression is when he has his eye on someone, they'll have a miniature push or they're going to get pushed. Sin Cara got a miniature one. Curtis
Axel.
He's getting one. Other wrestlers, Damien Sandow temporarily. There's quite a few that if Triple H got an eye on, in future he's probably going to have his eye on more. So I expect to notice that as Triple H's career grows.
Prototype 400. 2 questions here. What are your thoughts on American football? I won't watch it unless it's the Super Bowl.
Ball!
Touchdown! Yeah, no one really cares. Watch soccer. That's better. What do you think are the 5 most devastating finishing moves of all time? Okay, the pile driver. The Canadian Destroyer is pretty damn devastating. Oh man, this is a difficult one. The pedigree looks pretty devastating, I think.
Obviously, the spike pile driver or tombstone pile driver because that's going down the neck.
What about like
submissions could be pretty
submission? Bad. Yeah, the crippler crossface. That literally was, a death-defying move in the end, wasn't it? Which we won't mention. Voldemort. Superfan 931. What did you think of the tag team Deuce and Domino? Didn't see too much of Deuce and Domino, but they looked. From the little I saw them, they looked pretty entertaining. Mr. Cliff Compton there.
The fact that WWE was obviously at this time picking other cults and stuff, they weren't the biggest tag team, but they did get some TV time to get them noticed. But as you can see from today, they don't make it.
No, Cliff Compton, who I think played Domino, is in ROH right now as part of the Scum faction. But it seemed to me like Juice and Domino was like a little parody of Grease. You know what I mean? Like the way they were in Grease, kind of like the 60s, 70s style. Which is something unique, and I guess a lot of older school fans may have liked it. I don't know. Cherry was all right, though. She had a fat ass, but there we go. What superstar did you hate originally, but winded up being a fan of later in the future, and why? I never liked JBL as a fan. But then, obviously, as I knew more about the business and what he did and how good of a heel he was, I started to become a fan of him later on.
To be honest, I can't really think of a character I've not liked because from early days when the wrestlers came in, I've just gone, no, and it's normally stuck that way.
I think a lot of people probably would have hated Ryback and maybe would have been more of a fan of his later down the line, possibly.
Well, it's not really worked for me, to be honest. That's going to be a bit of a tough one. I'll say back in the early day before they ruined it, Drew McIntyre, because that was like not really got a main event look. But as it went on, I got more interested. But from the top of my head, no.
What did you think of William Regal's Ruthless Roundtable stable in ECW consisting of him, Ezekiel Jackson, and Vladimir Kozlov? Should they have been booked? I didn't watch any ECW, so I really don't know. The only memory I have of Regal is him, I think, losing by DQ in 8 seconds at SummerSlam 2006 because DX and Triple H needed all their time to have that really awesome entrance.
The thing about this is with these 3 here, I think it got Regal in a strong way with some new talent around him. So I'll say for ECW to have Regal on TV with new talent, I'm going to say that was a pretty good idea and they worked semi well to build them up.
UHTYP1, what are your thoughts on the PG era Rock? I think he was way more entertaining. He had his catchphrases writing on his hand. PG era Rock will never be as good as Attitude era Rock, but that's purely because we were obviously, when you were a kid and you were looking at Rock, you really liked him because he was saying stuff that you wanted to say, but now he's being a bit more PG to suit what they're doing now in the WWE. It's not really the Rock that was the problem. It was just a shift in era and how Rock had to kind of change his style, especially now he's a movie star and he's got older, he's got other commitments, etc. I wasn't a massive fan of the PG era Rock later on, but I will always like Rock. It's just that it's sometimes difficult to have an opinion on someone when you previously really loved them and then they come back and you kind of don't know how to feel about it.
The way I'm gonna relate to that and agree, but when Rock first came back, they were very strict in a way and stuff. And then eventually you start to see more of The Rock, that promo he threw Cena's merchandise in the river, the lake, and just started saying words and really stabbing at Cena. But it's definitely not going to live up to the Rudy Poo, Candy Striped, and all that stuff he used to say. But I think the WWE tried eventually.
Main thing is that The Rock brought them in a lot of money. That's all they need to care about. Jamal Payne, book your worst Mania of all time with 7 matches and 3 performances and segments. Main event would be Rock versus Cena 3. That would be part of the worst Mania of all time, wouldn't it?
Vince versus Brett II.
Carly versus Kane.
Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler.
Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler. That would be a bad one. What about like Hornswoggle versus Carly or something? I don't know. If we could probably put Carly, we could probably make Carly do double duty on this one. Have Justin Bieber do a performance. That would be bad. Bring in like I don't know. Who do we hate who do we hate? Any R&B artist you could bring in. Have a backstage segment with Mae Young giving birth to another hand. What other matches could we possibly?
Well, I was trying to think of 2 wrestlers that are really slow.
The Brawl for All. Bring back the Brawl for All. That was fucking awful.
There we go.
And bring back Vince Russo to book the show. That would probably make it really bad. So there we go. CM Punk. We got a question from the best in the world. CM Punk.
I see.
Resting at home, of course, doing quite well. Maybe at Payback. Who is the next up-and-comer? Well, with your insight into the business, CM Punk, we would have thought you would have known the next up-and-comer is going to be, it's either going to be Ryback or Axel Steel.
I'm going to give
Axel Steel. Curtis Axel. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just fucking with you there. Curtis Axel.
I think it's definitely given to him. He's got many different names. Michael McGillicuddy, the Henning, which he never really got to see him perform as. But out of all of them, I'm going to say Ryback's going to slip up, I bet. So I'm going to give to Henning.
I'm trying to think of NXT talents. Bray Wyatt will be a good one. What other ones? Biggie Langston looks decent. Won't be that. I don't think he'd be as good as a Bray Wyatt, but I think Bray Wyatt from NXT right now is the best up and comer. Sweet Latte 18. Feels like I've just had a latte the way I just belched there. Who do you think will be the better heel, Kofi Kingston or Zack Ryder? I think Kofi Kingston needs a heel turn more. Zack Ryder's kind of irrelevant right now.
I think you can make him into, again, what he's good at, a heel tag team with him and R-Truth again.
A heel IC champion.
All that, yes.
You just imagine that, yeah. It's just exactly the same as he was before, but he's a bad guy. What past WrestleMania main event match did you wish you could have added a stipulation to? Probably Miz versus Cena, because that sucked.
A stipulation? Yeah. So there's something on the line.
What about end of an era? You have the stipulation be whoever loses has to retire.
That was similar to Shawn Michaels and Taker, following on from that.
But if it would be an end of an era, it would have worked, because it would have had to have been the end of an era then, between those two.
True. From the top of my head, I think, again, I don't know what stipulation, but maybe change people's opinions on it. The Triple H vs. Orton at WrestleMania 25, I think, has that been the year of Orton, if they gave a stipulation to make that match even bigger, that could have worked.
That did have a stipulation in that I don't think Triple H could get. I think Triple H could get disqualified. I think it could have just had like a no DQ stipulation, like be a big blow off, especially if the babyface is going to win, which happened in the end. What was the most embarrassing WWE in-ring moment? Probably Sin Cara's botch. That was quite an embarrassing moment. All that time when Scott Steiner tried to leap from the ring and ended up leaping himself onto the ring floor.
John Cena kind of joked the first time.
Well, it was actually funny at first, but then it kind of got a bit. Ugh, but there we go. The worst WWE in-ring moments. Hornswoggle winning the Cruiserweight Championship. Hornswoggle being the anonymous GM. Do we see a pattern here? Hornswoggle.
Yes.
What? Who would be a better face, Cody Rhodes or Damien Sandow? Cody Rhodes, because Damien Sandow to me just is the perfect man to be a heel. Just his character screams out heel.
There's that, and also the fact that it's been rumoured or said in the past that Cody Rhodes does receive a positive crowd reaction. But I'd say I'll give it to Cody.
Magman Gaming. Who is your favourite young talent in NXT? You have come to the right person. My favourite diva is Paige. I love Paige. Bray Wyatt is another favourite of mine. Cassius Ohno is another favourite of mine. Biggie Langston was another favourite of mine, actually. I love the 5 gimmick that he had. I think a face turn for him would be pretty good. I liked Antonio Cesaro in NXT, even though it's not WWE aren't really bringing it now. I did like Roman Reigns in NXT. Seth Rollins I kind of liked, but I wanted to see what WWE were going to do with first, and they ended up putting him into the Shield.
I don't, apart from watch Dan's reviews, the only thing I can remember in the past which didn't really go anywhere was that dark faction. They were like
Ascension. Yeah, no, I totally forgot about the Ascension. The Ascension could be pretty good. But unfortunately, one of their members got fired because he did something wrong. But they've got a new guy in now to actually do the Ascension tag team, which is a good thing. Kurapika07. Should Team Hell No have a new entrant seen as their tag team? I have a feeling that they will stay together until SummerSlam before disbanding. Could have done like a remix, like you know, of Kane and Daniel Bryan's theme. That would have been like they did with Jericho and Big Show. Remember that?
It could work, especially. I would like to see them stay together, but I think WWE have planned for Daniel Bryan to go to the limit again. But I think if they somehow make friends again, then yes, I think to prove that they're an ongoing tag team, change their thing.
And they could have done with that Dr. Shelby guy as their manager. That would have been good as well. Also, is it a good or bad idea to bring back Batista? From a business standpoint, he could create some big matches and could create a very big return. However, I'm not sure. It's like, I think if WWE bring back someone now, I'd like to know they would want to work mid-card to main event and not just be a special. But for a special attraction, it'd be very good, like a Brock Lesnar it is.
Sadly, when it comes to Batista, I've always said that he should come back. But the problem with the returns of big names, the guy they always go for is John Cena. Every big return we've had, Rock, Brock, and they all go after John Cena. So it'd be a repeated John Cena in the main event against a returning wrestler. But I think Batista should come back.
I would like to see Batista back. I mean, we do lack star power, so it would be nice to see him back. And imagine if they sort of had Lesnar work some dates, then Batista work some dates. Do it like that. I'm guessing that's how they would do it. Howard the Man. Who'd be the first to retire? Undertaker, Mark Henry, Big Show, or Kane? None of them, because they're all quite old and all really wouldn't benefit at all really from retiring Undertaker, apart from maybe Kane from a storyline standpoint.
Who would be the first to retire? Oh, no, out of all then, who would be the first to retire?
Oh, right, I get it now. Who would be the first to retire? Probably Undertaker. Yeah, sorry, I misread that question. Either it would be Undertaker or Mark Henry, because Mark Henry is having a lot of injuries. Show and Kane have got another couple of years left in them. I just read the question completely wrong there. If you could bring an old school manager back to manage somebody, whom would it be? See, I made sure to go on.
Eric Bischoff!
To manage who?
I think it'd be like, not Brock Lesnar because Heyman's already got him. I think another, like, let's say a Wade Barrett eventually to bring him as a really strong top heel.
You know, I think a guy like William Regal could manage Wade Barrett. An old school manager, if he was still healthy, Bobby Heenan, but he's not right now, so we can't really do that. Jimmy Hart. Why not give them to the primetime players? I mean, why not do it?
I'll stick with Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff would be a good one, yes. If he would, but he's part of TNA.
Not anymore.
not in your world. View Hall for hire. That's more what we're talking about. Whose title reign was more impressive dominance? CM Punk's or Kevin Steen's? No real question here. Kevin Steen's was all right, but it kind of got a bit stale because ROH got stale. At least I was watching CM Punk's title reign.
Even though I took a break, I stopped watching ROH. I came back to watch Kevin Steen's matches at pay-per-views because I was that interested. But then eventually it got taken off him and I just didn't really care. But CM Punk, yes, he was winning all the big matches to get that year title run, so the feuds were kind of, you know what's coming. But CM Punk definitely kept me on.
Yeah, and it was a much longer title reign. Plus, ROH's title reigns are always a year. Davey Richards was a year. Kevin Steen's was a year. Generally, they go on for a year, and they get stale after a year, unfortunately, because it's ROH. Which characters in WWE TNA need a gimmick repackaging? Wade Barrett, I think, needs a gimmick repackaging again. I think Matt Morgan. No, his character's okay. I just think he needs to be booked a lot better. I think a guy like Sting needs a character repackaged in the sense that I don't think he should be wrestling anymore.
Tensai
again. Yeah, Brodus Clay you could possibly launch in there as well.
I wish I could say Fandango, but because obviously his dancing's good and all, but I don't think him as himself being this whole dance thing is going to go as far as it could if he was something else.
I'm trying to think of someone from TNA. I think most of the characters in TNA are pretty solid.
There is one, but I don't much will care. Eric Young. Make it more serious of this thing.
Drew McIntyre could do with a gimmick repackaging, I think. They've already done it with Hennig, and so not many right now. If you can think of any, please let us know. Remember, we're doing this off the top of our heads. 1427695. Can I bring that number now? Oh, no answer. Do you see Triple H's career ending at Extreme Rules? No, and I would have answered no, even if we had this on before Extreme Rules.
They were teasing it afterwards with all like, I'm injured and stuff, but I think with Triple H, hope they'll come like a Vince McMahon character, but no.
I think the best way of using Triple H would be a kind of Vince McMahon character. I think the problem is, I think at the moment, Triple H thinks he'd be better as a heel, but Vince wants him as a babyface. Not really sure, but I think Triple H is, if he's going to be part of the corporate, then make him into a corporate heel.
I would like to see him, have yes, Triple H is all about WrestleMania. He should have like a big WrestleMania match because he's Triple H, just like Vince would do, like against like Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and stuff like that.
Is Ryback ready to main event? This is a big argument because Ryback has lost at every pay-per-view apart from and even at Extreme Rules he's still technically lost because he didn't win the championship. He's lost at every single pay-per-view since Money in the Bank. No, since SummerSlam, I believe 2000. And it'll be a year of pay-per-view losses soon. So from that standpoint, no, he's not ready to main event. But from a character standpoint and from a main event look standpoint, he's ready to main event.
With the WWE for some reason wanting to turn him heel into the tweener, let's take Ryback as a heel. The fact we've got this Curtis guy who's a heel, I don't think we need to care much about Ryback or is he ready for the main event? We've got Curtis who can take his place.
Fair enough. Do you see Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title in 2013? No, I do not. Either they're going to give him, they're not going to give him Money in the Bank, so they're not going to do it.
I think with this, breaking of Kane and the fact we've got a few more months till 2014, they must have some idea of what they're going to do after the Kane feud. So possibly.
Hopefully, but I don't think it'll happen until 2014, even if they do go there. I think Daniel Bryan is an example of a guy they need to build up first. They can't just put the belt on him like they did in 2011, and that didn't work. Do you ever see Kofi Kingston as world champion? No. Never.
I wish I could say yes, but because of what happened after his Orton feud, which was a great chance to push him, I'm going to say WWE have set him in stone being where he is.
Yeah, Midcarder. Do you see Punk versus Austin at WrestleMania 30? I don't think Austin will be healthy enough, but it would be awesome to see.
Austin and Punk, the fact that there's been teasers in different ways in the past year, I'd say I would like to see it happen because we need to know what Punk's going to do at Mania, and I can see what Cena could be doing, maybe Ryback and stuff. So Punk and Austin, I'd say yes.
And so WrestleMania 30 match, it would be a big one, along with, there's a lot of other potential matches. Undertaker and Cena, Brock versus someone, so it could be interesting. Do you think Wade Barrett will ever be a world champion?
Yes.
At some point, I think he should be a world champion. Whether or not WWE will actually make him into a proper champion is the question, really.
I have hope for him, even though the booking at the minute is still dreadful. I'm going to say Wade Barrett's world heavyweight champ needs to happen.
Pearson1471. How would you have booked the invasion angle in 2001? Oh, we could go on all day about this. Well, number one, I would wait until I could lock in all the big names into contracts, like the Goldbergs, like the Scott Halls, like the Kevin Nashes, like the Hulk Hogans, like the Stings, like the Ric Flairs, and I would have a legitimate WCW team going up against a legitimate WWF team, and not loads of WWF talent going to the Alliance. And I just wouldn't have done the Alliance. I wouldn't have done any of that shit. I think that Invasion Angle is one of the worst booked angles of all time, considering how big it could have been if you had all these freaking names in there.
The thing about this Invasion Angle, it was more about McMahon's feud, like
ego,
Vince,
really.
Steph, and Shane. The wrestling matches, okay, I bet you could pick up some you liked, but the fact they had to use Austin and Angle and Rock and all that instead of using a tag that made sense for this invasion, it didn't work for me.
I mean, do you remember when, like, I mean, obviously you would have been about what, in your early teens when this sort of happened? It was awesome at the time. It was like, oh my god, WCW is invading WWF. But then you kind of look at it back as a fan when you're 23, 24, 25 years old, and you're kind of like, man, they could have done this so much better.
Well, back then when it happened, I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy it. The McMahon part, I was more into the McMahons, which the WWE seemed to have been too. The invasion angle, I just don't think it was done right.
No, it really wasn't. Mr. TNA 2005. No. What would you say if a Money in the Bank winner would leave the impression that he cashes in for the world title, trying for 2 or 3 months like Ziggler at first, and out of nowhere would cash in successfully for the WWE title, in which he never showed his intentions to cash it in? For me, it would be very good and make a nice surprise and something new. Well, the way they're doing it right now is you can only cash it in on one, so that really wouldn't be possible. Well, although it would be a good idea, it isn't possible. That's the problem.
Well, Vicky was teasing that Ziggler could have cashed in on the WWE Championship. So let's say this somehow works out. I think the whole aspect, like Batista, what show he's going to do in with the contract thing. They did it for Money in the Bank. I'd say it would definitely bring more interest to Money in the Bank.
Yeah, it would be a legit surprise. You know, he's going after this belt, and all of a sudden he does a U-turn and goes after this belt. If you were a magician and could only do one thing, what would it be? I'd make Taz disappear from TNA and never come back. That's what Mr. TNA 2005 said.
I would have changed Taz to Cena. You know, boom, you're not in the main event anymore. Ha.
Do you know what? I think Mr. TNA has a good one. Get rid of Taz because he is freaking terrible. Which is the top 5... Right, sorry, I'm going to reword this. Which is the top 5 worst moments in wrestling for you as a fan? Mr. TNA's are Taz commentary extravaganza, RVD horrendous X-title run, Hardy Victory Road 2011, Sting beating Joe Baltimore 2008, Christian Cage's first world title loss after 2 days. So the 5 worst moments for us as a wrestling fan. I think that Jeff Hardy Victory Road thing has got to be up there.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 27, I think as a whole, was a massive disappointment for me.
I'd say, even though you can pick some goods from it, Cena beating The Rock, or for the second match, I thought that was bad.
I think for the fact that WCW went out of business and it, just became a one-horse race, that was a bad moment for us as a wrestling family. And the invasion angle was just a terribly executed angle. When did you... here's a good one. When did you cry watching wrestling, and what segment, promo, or match? Have you ever cried watching wrestling?
The bad thing about me, I never let myself cry. The only thing that would have got me was either Edge or Shawn Michaels' moments, when they retired. Big names, and plus Edge's one was unexpected that way. So that's the only thing that would have cracked me. And plus the death, obviously.
I've cried at wrestling of laughter. That's the only time I've ever cried while watching wrestling. I didn't watch the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. I did rewatch it. Obviously, at the time, it would have been more emotional. I didn't watch that because I wasn't really watching wrestling back then. All the Owen Hart stuff. I think that kind of stuff, if I was more of a wrestling fan back then, would have made me cry, but I wasn't living it at the time. How far do you think Fandango can go because of his song? Very far. I really do.
That, like I said in earlier questions, when it comes to Fandango, you just point out one of my biggest things about Fandango. In my opinion, it's his song that's putting him over. His wrestling might be okay, but I think it's his music. I think if he had a different music coming in, I don't think it'd be as much as where he is now. So I'd say, I think it's his music that's going to keep him with the fans behind him.
If it is just his music that gets him over, then that's fine. I mean, it's the Yes gimmick got Daniel Bryan over, so if it gets you over, keep it. The Tune 99. What do you think the reasons behind WWE not using Alex Riley could be? Probably because of that incident backstage with John Cena. Other than that, I don't really know, because he did seem like he was on a main event level run until something out of the blue just happened, and then he just went...
The thing is, there are many mid-carders that, could have been used, continue being used, continue on TV. Alex Riley, yes, he has something special, being with The Miz, feuding with The Miz. So either something happened during The Miz feud or the Cena incident.
If Lesnar's here another year, should he get the belt for a few months? I don't think Lesnar should get the belt. I think he should be used as a box office attraction. But if they wanted to go in another direction with Brock Lesnar, they could give him the WWE Championship. I mean, he could legitimately win it quite easily. It's just whether or not he would be able to be on like every show because of his contract and the dates, etc.
The kind of thing I was hoping is I would have gone a different direction, the World Heavyweight Championship, to give SmackDown, like I've said every year, something big on SmackDown, which would be Lesnar's the World Heavyweight Champion, and whoever the SmackDown Champion to beat Brock, put him over.
Like a Sheamus or something, or a Ryback possibly. Given that creative needs shaken up, which 3 guys who know wrestling would you add to it? I would add, a lot of people aren't going to like the fact I'm going to say, I'd add Vince Russo. I just think right now, Vince Russo is the kind of guy that could actually maybe work some characters in the WWE, give us some consistent mid-card feuds, feature the women a lot better like he did in TNA, for example. I just think his general way of booking and writing is the kind of thing WWE needs with their ratings kind of getting a lot lower now. So I'd say put Vince Russo in there, even if it's just as an advisor or something like that.
Well, you said about Vince Russo using the females. Well, I'd bring back Garrett Bischoff to bring back PG, yeah.
PGHLA. I feel like just some women hugging in fully clothed or something. Oh god, that would be pretty damn masturbatory. Do you think WWE should extend the Shield to at least 5 guys?
No.
I think they're fine with 3. If they wanted to add a 4th, if they wanted to add a main event guy that could hold the world belt, possibly.
My quick thing about this, I've made a video about it on my channel, which has gone in the past now, but with this, the Shield are one of the recent tag team, apart from Knockout the Shield, so they don't count, 3MB. The Shield are the 3 members that have came into the WWE, looked good, looked dominant, done well for themselves. To add a main eventer, let's say they had Orton, like people have said, I think that would make the shadow all on Orton. Oh, what's Orton going to do? Forget about these 3 now. What's Orton going to do? So I personally stick to 3 and just keep working their careers.
Yeah, and you have noticed with them 3, there hasn't been like so much concentration on like Ambrose or Reigns or something like that. So it does work. What would you say best sums up WWE's use of their mid-card? Non-existent, terrible, always doing the job.
Money in the Bank winners.
Possibly. Let's just shove you against one of our main eventers so you can do the job. You know, that's pretty much how mid-card seems to work now in WWE. Zachary Duffy. How would you bring back CM Punk? Who would you put him against, and should he be face? You know, there's these things about him facing Jericho. I wouldn't bring him back to face someone. I would just bring him back. You know, you need I would bring him back as an anti-hero or some kind of baby face, but you need a reason for him to come back. So, you know, you'd say something along the lines of, you know, I came back because I didn't defeat The Undertaker. I didn't beat The Undertaker. I didn't beat The Rock. I came back because I want to get my freaking title back.
That is one way. The way I've always said, I've been speaking to people about this, is that I'd have, with all this concentration Paul Heyman is putting on Brock Lesnar and Curtis Axel, I think CM Punk could come back either as a jealous heel or as a face and want to take out Heyman's guys.
Yeah, and I think with the fact that the fans have been cheering a lot for CM Punk, that it would make perfect sense to bring him back as a babyface, I feel. The Joe KM, who do you think will be the first person to be inducted into both the WWE and TNA Hall of Fames? It will either be Hogan, possibly. I'm not sure Hogan would get inducted, but Hogan or Flair, one of those 2, or maybe Angle, even though he hasn't been inducted in one yet.
To be honest, it looks like it could come to be Ric Flair. I'd personally like it to be Kurt Angle.
I think Kurt Angle would be the best one. Gazniz. Interesting name. Is it time for a WrestleMania at Wembley? Yeah, it is. I think, well, I mean, they're not going to be doing it. I mean, they've still got WrestleMania 31 and 32 sorted now. So, but I think if they wanted to do one overseas, do it at Wembley. I mean, I know we seem very biased because we're British and, you know, be close to us and everything. But, you know, for WWE, where the UK is a big wrestling fan base and they could do a lot of business. I mean, look how much business they did at SummerSlam 92. It's one of their highest grossing events, I believe, in terms of merchandise and sales, etc.
And also, the WWE and TNA, we'll go to WWE for this question, they can always almost guarantee a good crowd, which will make it look good for the show. So for WrestleMania to take their chance and come to Wembley, it would be a good start.
Squirrely Boy, if you could go back in time and watch any classic WWE match live, which one would you most like to see? Go.
Triple H versus Rock in a ladder match.
Triple H versus Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000 in that street fight. There are so many. I could say Rock versus Hogan, 18. I could say Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. I could say Macho Man versus Savage. I could say Hogan versus Savage.
Hogan, yes. I think that one.
Rock Hogan would be a good one. There are so many that you would love to. The Random Girl 95. Who is your favourite ever heel in WWE and TNA, and who is your favourite ever babyface in WWE TNA? Well, my favourite babyface is always Rock. In both WWE and TNA, even though I kind of had a bit of a man crush on James Storm at one point. That's kind of teetering off now. I guess you're Triple H, for the heel, aren't you?
The heel always get given to Triple H. The face, I think, even though I've enjoyed him still as a face, Triple H, I'd have to give it to none other than the Brotherable The Rock.
Because you can't do the eyebrow. No. Like me. Ladies. Howard the Man. Whatever happened to cheering the baby faces and booing the evil heels? Well, unfortunately, WWE seems to book their baby faces like heels, and it seems like their heels are the ones that need the fans to cheer for them to try and get a victory. So the fans automatically cheer the heels now, it would seem, especially in smart markets like Philadelphia and Chicago and New York and Miami, etc.
That's the way it's going, because the WWE, in the past, it was either balanced or the heels would get the strength of the face and the face would get the final win. But now it seems like, because of the PG maybe, they've got to make sure the kids are still entertained and not crying their hearts out. Maybe it's not because of that, but the face are getting heavily booked. And also, not to mention that, but the heels are just more entertaining because they can do more stuff. They can do more badass stuff. So they're just more entertaining than the cookie cutter baby faces that just, do you know what I mean? Like John Cena, it's very hard to be entertained by John Cena because he doesn't appeal to us. That's a shame. Jamie O'Halloran, do you want the Inferno match back? I don't think there'd be much point, really, because I don't think Kane's character really would need an Inferno match. I don't think it would really suit the PG era, so I don't think so. The only time I'd bring that back is for one pay-per-view, one match, and that is, even though it's not going to happen, is if Kane was to ever face Taker at WrestleMania. But if that's not going to happen because they've got other plans for Taker, then no. Matt Hennessy, what is the best WWE finisher of all time? The leg drop, no. What's the best? I've always liked the People's Elbow. I love the People's Elbow. Even though I like the pedigree, I'm going to have to give it, especially to the way it's performed, Tombstone. Tombstone is another good one. That's responsible for a massive streak of Undertakers. Zachary Duffy. There was one moment in pro wrestling history that you could witness in the live audience. What would it be? We had a question quite similar to this earlier, whether or not it was the same one. Rock concerts. That would have been great to see live. I just think like a pay-per-view like WrestleMania 17 or WrestleMania 3 or 14 or 21 or 19 or something like that would have been good events to witness live. Or being at that Raw after WrestleMania, that would have been fucking epic as well. Very true. WWE 6636. Do you think the 3-hour Raw could have worked in the Attitude Era? Yeah, I mean, WCW were doing 3-hour Nitros, and WWF at the time had enough talent. They had good writers. It would have put a lot more pressure on Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara, but they could have done it with all the characters they had. That's what I was about to say, because with the WWF, the fact they could have had 2-3 main event matches instead of just all these filler matches, I think the WWE could have benefited the extra time to give the match more time, more wrestling involved. Laurel Lewis, do you care about the AJ Caitlyn feud? To be honest, it's very hard to care about Divas feuds in general. It's not just the fact that, I mean, AJ and Caitlyn does have some history, but it's just the fact that it's not really shown to us as an important feud. And I'm not bothered about Divas feuds. My two damaging things about this, AJ's character I've not been behind at all. And this AJ Caitlyn feud should have happened when they first teased it instead of taking that break, reinventing it. Do you think a Knockout will join the ACNAs? And if so, who would be the best fit? Well, if they were going to do it, it would be Ivelisse Velez. No, it's Brooke Hogan. Brooke Hogan. Yeah, they're teasing the whole... Not as a wrestler, though. She wouldn't wrestle. I'm talking about a wrestler here. A Knockout. She could join as like a manager, but as a wrestler, Ivelisse Velez, the one that was an MMA fighter, I don't really think a Knockout should join the ACNAs, to be honest with you. If WWE and TNA could switch rosters, which roster swap would help the opposite company more? I think the WWE's roster would help
TNA more because they would have John Cena and people like that, and they'd have CM Punk, and they have like The Rock.
That's the way I see it. As we all know, the WWE has the bigger fan base and the wrestlers that. I'm not saying TNA hasn't got the wrestlers people want to see, because they do, like Aries and stuff. But I think if you had like The Undertaker or John Cena, CM Punk go to TNA, I think the fans would go, "Oh, I've got to see what they're doing over there."
Yeah, they would. It's almost like when Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage went over to WCW from WWE. A lot of WWF fans at the time were like, I love Hogan. I miss him on TV, so I'm going to go watch WCW because Hogan's on there. Kind of similar to that. And question 4, Wrestling Jesus or Sean's U Entertainment off the road show?
If I had to go on those two, I'll go for Wrestling Jesus. Just because when he goes on his rants and stuff, yes, some of his points are repetitive, but Sean's views are drama queen.
No comments. RGP Rich Porter. Has Raw going 3 hours killed any interest to watch a WWE pay-per-view? Well, one of the things about a pay-per-view was that it was 3 hours and Raw was 2 hours, and it kind of felt special that way, but it doesn't really feel special anymore. It doesn't necessarily decrease my interest to watch a pay-per-view, it just decreases my interest to watch WWE in general.
With me, yes, they're not very good at filling up time, but the fact is WWE sort of grown into, it's going to be hard to kill my interest in the WWE.
And that is a result of your long-term fan base to the WWE. Gia Cobetti 47. Thoughts on WWE taking off El Generico's mask and calling him Sami Zayn? A lot of internet fans were quite angry about this. I think El Generico as a character could have worked in WWE. It could have, it's PG. It could definitely have worked. It could definitely have appealed to kids. But clearly they wanted to do something different. I wanted to actually try and, bring out El Generico's character a little bit more with this Sami Zayn gimmick, which has only recently just debuted on NXT.
My two opinions on this is, number one, like mentioned way early in this long Q&A, is with Sin Cara's character fading, the mask character, having El Generico come in as a mask character to hopefully overpass Sin Cara's mistakes could have been good. And number two, it should have been El Generico's choice.
I believe it. Well, we don't know whether it was El Generico's choice or not. I think the reason why they changed their gimmicks is because they want the rights to the name if they actually get fired. Because if WWE took the rights to the name El Generico, then he wouldn't be able to use it on the independent circuit if he ever got fired. I mean, you look at The Rock. The only reason The Rock can use the Rock name is because WWE buys a license from WWE who have the rights to that name to use it, if that makes any sense. Why does Taker always use a microphone without the WWE Cube logo on it? Well, not that I've noticed. Maybe it's just his glove that covers it. I don't know. I can't answer that, I'm afraid.
Well, we could say The Miz has, the upside down thing, so why can't Taker have one without a WWE showing that he's a man on his own?
Who knows? What would be your reaction if Hogan wins the TNA belt at either Slammiversary or Bound for Glory? As a special moment, yeah, but it's not going to happen. But if it does happen, I must admit I would question where TNA's preferences lie.
I can see giving the bosses the championship, so then whoever beats the boss, it looks good and all. But with Hogan's injuries, I'd think, right, you're taking a risk here. Good luck.
Sweet Latte 18. If Rock doesn't wrestle at WrestleMania 30, what else could you have him do at WrestleMania 30? Commentate or referee or something else? They tried guest host. They could. I don't really know what else they could do with The Rock.
The two things I do, number one, is he could either come in and do a backstage segment teasing whatever he's going to do after WrestleMania if he's going to wrestle, or they can't do it now. Or they can, but they've already done it before a Rock concert at WrestleMania. They do singing, It's like Justin Bieber have The Rock.
They could make him a referee in a match. A bit like they used to do with Mick Foley and Austin, just bring him back to referee a match, possibly. And what is the greatest WWE Championship match? In recent times, there's a lot of options here. WrestleMania 17, Austin and Rock was a damn good match. So there are so many, like
the Catch Jack and Triple H.
The Catch Jack Triple H one was pretty good as well for the WWF Championship at the time. There are so many. It's hard to answer. What's the worst WWE persona now? I'd say, I really want to say Tensai or Sweet Tea, but I honestly think right now that it could just be someone like Santino or someone who just doesn't really have any relevance anymore.
I'm close saying, I'm gonna say the Tons of Funk because they're not as good as like Too Cool. They're not there. They're not even close. So them or 3MB because they're meant to be playing this rock band. But number one, Jinder Mahal's never teased he's been in a rock concert or knows anything about music. Same with Drew McIntyre. So I'll say those two.
Kind of 3MB or either one. Yeah, to be honest, I do agree with you there actually. Kyle Bridges. Should Fandango win the US Championship from Kofi Kingston? Boy, that was asked a long time ago when Kofi Kingston actually had the US belt. I think Fandango could win a mid-card belt, even if it does come at the expense of Wade Barrett, because, let's face it, Wade Barrett's title reign has been shit. And at least Fandango, we know, would get promoted as a good mid-card champion if they ever did it.
As of recently, I've seen, even though mid-card championships are not where they should be, I still see the IC as a higher belt than the US. So for Fandango to win the IC over the US probably shows the importance just a little bit more.
GW Rocks 9. What would you think of Paul Heyman as a legit owner of WWE today, and would he run the company well? He probably wouldn't pay people like he did in ECW, but then again, he would have money. It's never ever gonna be the case.
I had the perfect way of setting this up, and I would have been totally fine with it. The whole SummerSlam contract signing. I'm going to keep saying this because if Triple H signed his job over to Heyman once he lost that SummerSlam, Heyman could have done this, and I would have been all for it.
Don't you think WWE should scout more of the indie for talent so they can find actual good in ring? They are scouting the indies. They've brought in loads of guys: Mike Bennett, Sami Callihan, El Generico. They brought in all these Pac, for example. They brought in loads of guys from the indies. Why are people complaining so much when guys like Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan are being featured? Sometimes it's not about in-ring action. I know some of these indie guys are very good at wrestling, but a lot of the times the indie guys aren't massive draws, and a lot of the time the bigger guys, like the muscle builders that WWE like to push, are more draws. You look at Cena, you look at guys like Batista, like Hulk Hogan, etc. I'm just saying.
Again, I just think we're getting talent in slowly. It's just going to keep going through NXT.
Yes, hopefully. Does the IWC sometimes make you mad? Yes, because sometimes the IWC is so damn narrow-minded, and you know what I mean, NJ. It's just ridiculous. Look at ROH. Look at CM Punk and Daniel Bryan should be main eventing WrestleMania. It just annoys me. Plus, it's like they'll take a lot of the IWC will take what you say out of context. Like in a Raw review, I think I said I forgot CM Punk was on the show, which was I legitimately forgot CM Punk was on the show, and I think a lot of people disliked the video just because I said CM Punk. I just forgot he was on the show.
Thing is, I know everyone has their own opinions, but when other people have different opinions to you, I think there needs to be a line of understanding and acceptance.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like the McMahons right now? Because I would rate them 1. Well, they're not really on TV, so you can't really rate them, unfortunately. Like Vince McMahon, you got to give him like a 10 because of the way he's pioneered wrestling. Shane McMahon, I'm not even really going to go there because how can you really rate the McMahons? And what are you rating him 1 based on?
Well, Vince McMahon's made a few TV appearances which have been entertaining for the most part. And I think, yes, you want to rate him low so someone takes over, but it's hard to rate when they're not as on TV as they used to be.
RFV089, rank these in order from 1 to 4, with 1 being the best and 4 being the worst. Raw in 2011, SmackDown in 2012, TNA in 2011, and ROH in 2012. Well, ROH is the worst. Raw is the second worst.
I'll go with SmackDown, because SmackDown's been bad for a long.
They were all bad. Raw was freaking awful. ROH was awful in 2012. I don't care what people say. TNA was also awful. They were all awful. I'm not even going to rank them because they were all terrible. NJ, have you seen the CSI episode called Grave Danger, which is directed by Quentin Tarantino?
Awesome, yes. I've watched CSI. I love the show. I'm looking forward to the future episodes. But that one, oh yes, that Quentin Tarantino is a great writer. He did a very good job.
And the last question on this Q&A, before we get to the pleasantries, by RFE089. If there was a classic 5-on-5 Survivor Series TNA versus WWE match with only cruiserweights involved, who would you pick on each team? You could use any active or inactive wrestlers to form each team. Okay.
Cruiserweight.
Okay. TNA, you'd have AJ Styles, you'd have Austin Aries, you would have Chris Sabin, Kenny King, and I'd say Alex Shelley. He's formerly of TNA. And WWE, you could have Chris Jericho, you could have Eddie Guerrero, you could have Chris Benoit, you could have You know, you could have people like that.
Well, it's not recent then.
No, it's
Eddie.
You can use any active or inactive wrestlers to form each team. So that's what I'm going off. So you could have Rey Mysterio in there as a cruiserweight. You could have, just think of other like cruiserweights they had. It's hard to really remember. It's because you don't really get too many cruiserweights now.
Not too often.
But we'll stick with that. I mean, that's sort. Can you think of any others off the top of your head? I think TNA was an easy one. WWE not so much because they're not really focusing that much on cruiserweights right now. Save CM Punk's a fucking cruiserweight.
Billy Kidman, just for the fun of it.
Billy Kidman, yeah, that was good because Ray and Kidman had a good tag team.
There we go.
So why not put them in? If you guys can think of anything else, because we're doing this off the top of our heads, please let us know. So yeah, that's been our hour-long. I think it's gone just over an hour. Q&A. I don't know about you, but I really need a drink and I'm quite tired. But yes, thank you very much for allowing us and sending in your questions for us to be able to keep doing these Q&As to get to 104. I'd say is a massive achievement. I just wonder, we have about 155 pages of questions. We've now got about 7 left, so we've got through a lot of these. And I just can't thank you guys enough for keep sending us in questions. I'm amazed sometimes at how many questions I end up adding to this list through Twitter, Facebook, through YouTube, etc.
I'm quite interested to know, obviously, the shorter the Q&As, the more people are going to accept it. But these hour Q&As, I personally enjoy doing videos that are long, entertaining, and get as much out as we can. But I'll be interested to know if you'd like to see another hour Q&A, when, and if you please keep the questions coming.
Indeed, and that is why you always do like 8-hour live streams, isn't it, NJ? But anyway, that's been it from Mr. Parkin, and this guy's here next to me, none other than NJ.
What's up?
We saved the main attraction for the last, which is the What's Up. We have been the British Fist.
Gotcha!
We'll see you for the next Q&A, which is number 105, where I'll probably be wearing the same shirt and the same hairstyle and the same spotty face. Thank you very much for watching this video, and goodbye.